Hey everybody, welcome to quarter two social studies, in which we're going to be talking about population growth for the next couple of weeks and just populations in general. Today we're talking about population growth, and we have two ideas that we're going to be discussing this week. The first idea being that Earth's population has grown very quickly in the recent years, and that number two, population growth can affect economic development and the environment. So today we're only focusing on that first section. If you want to read along, by all means, feel free. You can click on this link here on my slides. That will take you to the reading. So today we're going to look at how Earth's population has grown really quickly. 12,000 years ago, okay, so a long time ago, 12,000 years ago, farming first became a thing that people did. At the time, people were kind of very migratory. They would follow, the herds of animals that they would use to hunt and feed themselves. Eventually, 12,000 years ago, people decided, hey, you know what? I can stay in one place. I can still do some hunting, but I can also grow food. The fact that they're allowed to grow food means that they could live in a place and that they didn't have to travel, which then started to allow people to, live in a place and reproduce. At that time, there were fewer than 10 million people on this planet. For reference, the city of Indianapolis has almost 1 million people. So 10 Indianapolises was all there was 12,000 years ago. Go to some more recent history within the last 120 years. In the year 1800, Earth broke 1 billion people for the very first time. So back, in the day, fewer than 10 million, 1 billion people in 1800. Today, we're about 7 billion people. Okay, we're about right here. So how do we know this? Well, there's some people out there that decided, you know what, I'm really interested in populations and why people grow and why our population continues to grow. And we called them demographers. They're social scientists who focus on human populations. They look at birth rates, they look at death rates, and they use this to kind of predict how populations have changed and will change over time. So when we look at this map, we got years 2050, years 2100. They're projecting that in the year 2050, we're going to be at 9 billion people. Well, I don't know about you guys, but 2050 is 30 years away. So we're going to grow about 2 billion people in 30 years, whereas it took us almost 12,000 years to get to 1 billion. Very sharp growth. What's going on? So we need to understand the idea of a birth rate and a death rate before we go any further. So a birth rate is just the number of live births that happen per 1,000 people in a year. The US's birth rate was 60 births per 1,000 women in the year 2017. The lowest it's actually been since 1987. And if you want, you can click on this link and it will take you to a story that's actually discusses why our birth rate's actually dropping. Our death rate is the number of people that die per 1,000 people in our population. 8.4 out of 1,000. Now, please understand that this was all pre-COVID, madness. I don't know how those numbers have been affected in this last year because we're almost at a year of COVID. But generally, demographers look at larger trends, and we've got increases and we've got decreases, and we want to know why we have this. And demographers have discovered that due to increased food production, better food, and just overall more food, people have had more kids. They have more food to feed the mouths. Typically, they find that when we have less food, fewer children tend to happen. Deaths have also decreased because we've got better medical care. People are living in better conditions. There's medicine. The average life expectancy has gone from 25 years to 70 years. A lot fewer deaths are happening as a result. Even though we've got more people, still fewer deaths because we're looking at a rate. There's a really cool website, and I've included it on my slides. It's called the US and the World Population Clock. So right now we're looking at the world. And the world has, that's not what I wanted, currently 7.7 billion people. Now, this is an average. It's not necessarily a real thing, but it's an average. And you can see how quickly that number is going up. When we look at the United States, that number is going much slower. How they're calculating it is, we have an average of one birth every 8 seconds. We got a death every 10 seconds. So every 8 seconds, population goes up. Every 10 seconds, population goes down. This even takes into account migration. We're not going to worry about that right now. And after all the math has been done, our population goes up 1 person every 23 seconds. There's 30 seconds. Well, we're going to round that up to 30 seconds. 30 seconds, the population goes up. So 1 minute, 2 population increases. So in an hour, our population goes up 120. In a day, our population is going to go up about 2,000, a little over 2,000 people. Now, you can go way, way deep in this. But what we need to understand is that this right here, this chart has the population finally slowing down. And one of the things that we're going to discuss, as the year goes on, or as the quarter goes on, is this idea of overpopulation. We talked about it in science, in the idea that our population can only be sustained by so much resources, and that we're running out of resources. And if you've been watching movies recently, there was a movie that was pretty popular that people were talking about, in which population was a big concern, and somebody snapped his fingers and half of it disappeared, which got rid of all strife and problem, except it also got rid of half the people. So this is present in pop culture. You just gotta look around for it. Overpopulation's the thing. So hope you learned something. See you back tomorrow for part 2 of this. I'm gonna stop playing with my toys.